Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. Big updates yesterday with Deadlock finally receiving a buff that's been teased for some time, but TenZ doesn't believe that it's anywhere near enough to challenge at all what potentially Cypher and Killjoy are currently bringing to the party as a Sentinel. Does this change make any difference for Deadlock in the competitive meta? And also, how will Sentinels fare in another show match they've got prepared over the coming days, this time against Tarik and his super team he's putting together to maybe try and beat Sentinels this offseason? Very much enjoy your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. This from Talon teasing their new announcement effectively coming, I imagine, relatively soon. So we'll see what happens on this one. The ace, they say, in the hole. This from Limbo. Crazy news. Maybe not a massive surprise just because we've seen this more and more over the last couple of years, that football teams getting into the esports world. But apparently FC Barcelona are looking to have a Valorant team in 2024 to compete in the LVP Rising kind of challenges type thing, which is kind of wild. And yeah, hand in hand with the Barca Games initiative that the club recently presented, and they're already evaluating signings due to budget they could fight for the league. So of course, you know, Barcelona, they don't just skimp out on players. So okay, I know that financially FC Barcelona is in kind of a questionable spot over the last couple of years. It's still kind of cool though, and we've seen this from other organizations, other teams getting into esports. But doing this for Valorant is, you know, quite often, I think Man City or whatever, and some other teams, they have like a FIFA team, right? So they kind of have like oh yeah, football, but then also football esports. Not so many have got involved in other esports, you know, like more traditional esports as it were, such as FPS games, such as Valorant. So we'll stay tuned for what team they potentially put together. This as well from DSG that was going around yesterday, which kind of confirms a change to the branding coming soon. So going into the new season, I'm guessing Toast will continue to commit to his project here in Valorant, and of course in other esports as well. But yeah, the DSG logo is probably going to be gone on, yeah, Wednesday. So tomorrow there's going to be an announcement, I'm guessing, as to the DSG rebrand. So I am probably going to miss the old logo, to be honest. But yeah, hopefully they continue to commit to that project going into next season. There's also this that was spotted yesterday, where all of the players on the you know, version 1, so potentially the best Game Changers team, at least in the Americas, they going to be at the World Championship relatively soon, trying to win it, of course. Pretty sure it's the end of this month sometime. Now, they all said at the same time they've joined at various organizations. Alexis said she's joined M80, Mel said she's joined Sentinels, Fluorescent says she's joined G2. Now, you know, of course, probably none of this is true, but I do wonder whether like any one of these things could potentially be true. Certainly the Fluorescent one, just because there was some discussion. Fluorescent, one of the most talented players in Game Changers, joined G2. Is there a chance that they've signed her as like a two-way player? I don't think it's absolutely out of the question that they could have done, but given the circumstances right now, it feels somewhat less likely, because if there were to be any relationships like this starting to occur going into the new season, you might have thought they would be solidified after the Game Changers World Championship. You know, like right now, these guys are all playing for version 1, getting ready to go for the World Championship in a couple of weeks' time. I think it is in Sao Paulo again, possibly. So, you know, would any deals like this be done beforehand? And, you know, definitely 80% of what you see here is just false and just for impression farming, which is, you know, fair enough. But maybe one of these things could be true in some way. But obviously some of them aren't true. Like, you know, Noya to Direx seems pretty much, or like Sarah to Weibo Gaming, seems pretty much out of the question, right? And Mel does say, join Sentinels. Chat, is this real? So yeah, it ain't real, if you guys are wondering, but maybe there's some truth mixed in there somewhere over the coming days. Now, let's talk about the Game Awards. So I get kind of confused with all the different ceremonies they do, because they do the Esports Awards, but then there's also the Game Awards, and then there's like other ones as well. So anyway, this is the best esports athlete, at least I think, of the Game Awards. Now, to be honest, Faker, if he wins like League of Legends Worlds, he's going to be hard to beat, to be honest, with the way things have gone this year. Zywoo as well from Counter-Strike. Pretty cool to see Hydra here from the Call of Duty side as well. The French guy's doing pretty well with Zywoo and Hydra, both represented. Ruler as well, so maybe if, you know, Faker doesn't win, he could win. And then Imperial Hal as well from Apex is pretty cool. But of course, Demon 1 from the Valorant side, Rookie of the Year, definitely a massive candidate there. For him to win Player of the Year is going to be, I think, a challenge against some of the other competition, but tweet your thoughts in the comments. There's also a couple of representatives for best esports team. And it's kind of funny because if EG win best esports team after the absolute shambles that their organization is, it will be, well, it will stir a bit of controversy. And the issue for Fnatic is that you know, it's difficult when I think even Gen.G from Dota 2, right, they won so much, but yet, did they win the big one? I'm not exactly sure if they did win TI. Maybe they lost in the finals or something. Yeah, I think they lost to Spirit in the finals, so it's like, well, you know, you kind of want to give your best esports team to the team that won the World Championship as long as they did well enough elsewhere. But, you know, if that wasn't the case, and sure, if they still did well at Champs and they won everything else, then fine, and Fnatic fit the bill. So, yeah, I mean, who would you say were the better team? If you just had to choose between EG and Fnatic, like, Fnatic were the best team over the course of the season, but EG won Champs and Fnatic came fourth. So, I don't know, but both are nominated, so I guess there's a better chance there that Valorant win than they don't, I suppose, given the circumstances. There's also Potter was nominated for Best Coach of the Year, which is such a crazy turnaround really to think about where Potter was, the amount of criticism she was getting not that long ago to, you know, now being nominated for Coach of the Year is an awesome story. And there's other awards as well, like, you know, Best Game of the Year, Best Tournament of the Year, you know, the World Championship, Valorant, as a game gets nominated for those type of things as well. But just to keep you guys updated on that. Now, before we talk about the Deadlock stuff, this is the new Sentinels show match that they're cooking up now. So, fair play to Sentinels, keeping the off-season interesting with many tournaments they are starting to run. Now, SEN being kind of undefeated. They did lose a couple of matches in there maybe, but in terms of, you know, their own tournament, show matches, they've pretty much won everything so far when it's really mattered. And well, as Tarik says, he thinks he could change that, and he goes on to say this as well: I am back. So what exactly does this mean? Because how is Tarik going to 1 versus 5 the entire Sentinels roster? Turns out it seems he's going to be bringing his own team with him, and he's going to form a team of 5, including himself, to try and take on Sentinels. So as Sensei, Tarik says he has a super team, but we are suspicious. So there's been speculation, who is he getting onto his super team? As Zeltis even says here, and Rob Moore kind of says, like, yeah, look, they're looking good, and let's be honest, whoever Tarik's team put together, they shouldn't be able to compete theoretically with the Sentinels guys, and it should be another easy dub, whatever they do. But you've also got to wonder, what team does Sentinels even field? The rumor was that even as recently as a couple of days ago, they were still practicing with Zelsis because Pancada was still unwell. But, you know, the longer that goes on, the more you've got to think, well, are you sure Pancada is unwell, or is Pancada actually, you know, is Zelsis into the team full time now after the good results they've had? I don't think they'll do that, but, you know, the longer that rumor persists, the longer people are going to think, you know, is Zeltis actually going to be in here? And of course, you know, he's talking a lot about this lately with the show matches they've played. Rumor has it that it's going to be, well, a couple of people that Tarik has asked about this, one of which, probably both of which, are SOM and FNS. Now, this would be really good to see. If Tarik can play on a team with SOM and FNS, you know, IGLing, SOM being there as well, you know, that would be a legitimately very good team. And apparently he's also requested to Corey to potentially join the team as well, a player that we now believe is linked to EG, so may not be available, may be available. I guess we don't really know. But yeah, Tarik is looking to form a team of, let's say it's Tarik, SOM, Corey, FNS plus 1. Like, they can form a pretty competitive team there, to be honest. FNS and SOM, that's going to be a good one, right? To see those guys formerly of NRG. And if FNS is the IGL, I guess, of this theoretical roster, was to somehow cook up a victory, that would be quite the statement to send to other teams around there in the league, to be like, look, hey, you know, give myself and SOM the keys and we will fix your franchise, which is kind of what FNS is trying to propose to other teams at the moment. So that is the potential Tarik super team versus Sentinels match that's happening relatively soon. But let's talk about the Deadlock situation, because lots of speculation over the last couple of weeks. Will Deadlock get buffed? What will the buff be precisely? The buff is surprisingly limited, I would say, just really to the GravNet. Now, the GravNet is buffed substantially compared to where it was previously. The time has increased, basically doubled from just under a second now to 1.5 seconds. The radius from 6 meters all the way up to 8 meters, which is, okay, that might not sound like too much, but when you consider that's the radius, and then you do pi r squared on the radius, you then find that actually, hang on a second, that's a substantial increase. It's not too far off a doubling in size of the radius, and the time increase has been doubled as well. Players within the GravNet will now be weakened indefinitely until they break free, and increased gravity and reduced mobility while in the net. So we can see it from this angle here. The before and after shots here that Jeff Lander puts on the timeline, so you guys can see the just the difference, especially in, I think it's this next shot, maybe the one after this. You guys can just see the difference in the radius, right, from where it is now to what it was previously. And, you know, let's say Jet wants to dash out, that's going to be far more challenging in the newer version. So, yeah, the size of the Gravinet is significantly greater. It's more challenging to avoid. And it's definitely, I think, a worthy buff for both parties. And also, if you look at the slowing here, so the debuff is now indefinite until it gets removed, which is not exactly how it was before. So, you know, sure, cool little change there to Deadlock, but it doesn't seem like an absolute, you know, world beater, especially because the problem with Deadlock, really, and I'm surprised they only changed this about her kit. I think the wall thing that she puts up and the ultimate, you know, maybe they could do with some things. But the main issue why she's not used is her trips. Her, like, sound sensors or whatever they're called. That they don't even notify you. They don't even stun the player if they make no noise. So if they shoot or if they run, then sure. But if there's no noise, then they don't even notice. And this is the problem that even, you know, Chambers trips, but certainly Cypher and certainly, you know, players like who want to use the Killjoy and stuff like this, like those agents on Sentinels are just way stronger than Deadlock is. To be honest, what they would have to do to Deadlock to make her competitive with Cypher, like, she'd have to get buffed big time, you know what I mean? And they probably don't really want to do that. They probably just want to have her as, you know, an option that you potentially can use as a duo stack. But, you know, to be a solo Sentinel, Deadlock just doesn't work because you can't rely on the trips. They don't do anything. They don't really watch the flanks properly, which Cypher's trips will certainly do. And if if you're a duelist and you fly out, they don't really activate quickly enough to actually stun duelists flying through the air, for example. Feel like her trips are either too small or don't activate nearly fast enough to actually counter dive duelists. So yeah, this is TenZ's point of view on the way that Deadlock has been buffed and saying, sure, the net's a bit more useful now, but it's really the trips that mean that you can't stop you can't anti-dive Sentinels, the way it describes it, stopping jets diving out of a choke point is not something that's really possible with Deadlock, and you can't even hold the flank properly with Deadlock's trips as well. So she kind of becomes useless as a solo Sentinel. So it's just unlikely to see her as part of a composition. But, you know, I'm sure many players would say, you know what, that's fine. Do we need another Sentinel agent that's up there being as good as Cypher is and, you know, Killjoy is used at the moment? Possibly not. So I don't mind what they've done here, to be honest. I don't mind Deadlock not being in the meta. But TenZ seems keen to maybe see further changes to potentially make that the case. So very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.